Right to access right to access justice. Is it an absolute right? So the Supreme Court says otherwise. So recently there's a case of frivolous litigation. So there's a judgment that is passed by the Supreme Court recently, stating that in case of any frivolous litigation, a penalty will be imposed because right to access justice is not an absolute right. So how will this be asked in exams? Is let's say a sort of a find the incorrect answer type question can be asked, like select which of the following is not an absolute right, and then the other options will have all the list of absolute rights. So here it's important to note what other rights are fundamental rights are called as absolute rights, right? So they cannot be taken away. Absolute rights, if you see, look at it, there's Article 17, right, that is abolition of untouchability. So it defines untouchability as a civil right. Abolition of untouchability is a civil right. So it's a right accruing to any person by abolition of untouchability. And after 17, then comes Article 21A. Article 21A is right to education. So between the ages of 6 to 14 years, it provides for elementary education that should be free and compulsory. So this was introduced by the 86th Amendment Act of 2002, and by the very same act, the Parliament has also introduced a new fundamental duty in Part 4A, which is Article 51A. It talks about again right to education. So we've seen that Article 17, Article 21A, and then there is Article 24, which talks about prohibition of employment of children in factories. But here it does not prohibit them from any harmless or innocent work, getting employed in such a work. And of course, it's also against the private entities. It's not just against the state, but it's also against private individuals. And then the fourth and the final absolute right that we have is freedom of religion, as far as the conscience is concerned, right? It's restricted only to the freedom of religion's conscience. 25(1). It does not talk about profess, practice, and propagate part, but just it's just restricts itself to the conscience part, right? So anyone can mold their beliefs towards any religion. That is considered as an absolute right. So in case a question is asked about absolute rights, all we have is like Article 17. Once again, right against abolition of untouchability. Then Article 21A, which talks about right to education. And then Article 24, which talks about right of against employment of children in factories, prohibition of employment of children in factories. And then finally, we have Article 25, which is freedom of religion as far as the conscience 25(1) is concerned. So again, right to access justice is not an absolute right.